Hey there, and welcome to the Creative Queso Podcast, where we're going to talk with movers, shakers, and creative makers. I'm your host, Jennifer Perkins, a kitchen enthusiast who loves talking about the business of being creative, as well as the creativity behind running a business. What happens when a creative husband and wife power couple combine their two passions of sewing and tacos? Amazing things, obviously, like, for instance, the Sew Taco podcast. Today, I am chatting with my new friends, Elena Flores of Sew Bonita and Loco for Local, and Gerald Flores of Taco Gear and the Taco Chair video series. These guys are not only incredibly savvy creative business owners, they are genuinely nice people, full of great business advice that they share regularly on their joint podcast, Sew Taco, Two Side Hustles and a Microphone. In this episode, we talk about how there is enough sunshine for everybody who has a creative passion, their love for the city they call home, Corpus Christi, Texas, and why they may be creative career life coaches and not even know it. Like, you will be inspired to walk barefoot over hot tacos after listening to this. So, hi guys, I'm super excited you're here.
Hi.
When we met, you guys are those kind of people, you're like life coaches, but don't know you're life coaches. Jumped right in, like within 2 seconds, it was like, and here are all these beautiful things I made for you, and like, and here's what you need to get rid of your Etsy and do Shopify, and here's why your newsletter is important, and let me just tell you everything about how to record a podcast. And so I was like,
Everything
"Me,
I know.
I need to do my first podcast with these people so they can hold my hand through it." So see, it made total sense to me that you guys should be here.
Right. We're still figuring it out too.
But yeah, but you're like already like awesome at it. And you guys have each other and you have such good rapport. And I think that,
yeah.
don't you think that helps? Like you have each other to like bounce off of?
I didn't realize how much it helped until I had to do 2 on my own. And it was very awkward.
I know it is. And like I had to do like the little like intro blurb for this, and I was like, hey me, how you doing?
You're answering your own questions, right? Yeah.
Exactly. It's so much more fun. I love listening to the two of y'all. It gives me like couple envy. I'm like, "Ugh, I wish my husband and I could have cute banter like
Well,
that."
you should hear it when the mics are off.
Right. Oh,
Just
it's just a show. Well, I'm so excited that you guys are here. So I really did want to ask you about like if you guys like ever did any or been approached to do any like mentoring or counseling or like business like or speak at anything about those kinds of things, because you talk about it a lot on your podcast, and I really do think you have. I've been in business in the creative industry for 20 years, and I learned stuff when I listened to y'all. So I mean, have y'all been approached by anybody else to talk about it, or?
Well, we've both done like talks at different things here locally, like small business centers, or the university has a Hispanic Heritage Month. They do something every year, and we've been a part of that the past 2 years. But Elena's been asked to speak at different things too, just on your own, I believe. Right?
Yeah, and I've been invited on different podcasts, women-centered podcasts, or entrepreneurs or Latina business owners. And I was actually today for lunch. I met with this woman who's doing a Latina leadership little conference, and she wants me to speak. So I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Like I guess like life coaching. Well, I know that's kind of a word that's been going around, but that idea itself sounds just very weird to me. Like I don't even think we're worthy of that. I think we just. I think the cool thing about us is we're pretty open about sharing whatever we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're both good at like Gerald, within like 2 seconds of meeting you, you were like, and you should make this into a pin, and this should be a patch. And
well, now that sounds controlling.
Y'all both just have that kind of like sparkle magic to help people with their businesses. I just didn't know if people had I'm like, you guys can have a total like the Sew Taco website, which, where it's like all about like
I don't know, not life coaching. I hate that
Right.
word. You know what
No, I know.
Well, and we ask our listeners to reach out to us and ask us questions or tell us what's going on, and they have. And they have told us like they took the first step in doing this, or they took a risk in doing this, or they tried a new idea that we were pushing for, or something that they had. And so that's really validating that we just want to push others to follow that creative itch they have.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you totally do. You guys, you're like the little like Tony Robbins of Corpus Christi. And
I'm not as tall. I'm a
Yeah,
little.
yeah, I'm not as big.
I'm 5'7". He's like 7'5".
I listen to the podcast and I'm like, yeah, like it's like a fist pumper. I call those like podcasts that get me all like riled up and like want to do something creative or like up my business, like a fist pumper. And you guys are totally,
Yeah.
And we really
Well,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
thank you for that. And I think where that comes from too is I think just we probably would have been horrible podcasters 3 years ago.
hmm
But I think the fact that our content is based around just talking about our experiences and running both of our brands, I think that helps a lot. But to play on that, like when you say that when I met you, I was like, you should do this and this and this. I think that comes from like Elena and I are always fishing for ideas in our own heads about products to launch or things to launch, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think just getting our brains in that mindset or having them that way all the time just allow us to see all kinds of opportunities for other people and ideas. Me, I have to stay around tacos. I choose to stay around tacos. Elena stays around what she does. So when I see something that I know would be like, oh, Jennifer, you should like totally do that. Or you should try and make that or do that because I think it might work.
yeah, no, and that's awesome. I mean, I think some people get caught up and can't see the forest for the trees.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's always, I mean, for me, I love it when people like are like, you should do this or you should do that. And sometimes I can see it for other people too, where they were just like, whoa, you know, like I just got tattooed yesterday and I was telling the girl who
I
does the artwork, and
saw.
like,
Oh, I missed it.
I know, I like it. But anyway, but you know, it's like you could be making these into downloadable PDF coloring book sheets or embroidery patterns or,
Yeah.
you know, like, and
Yeah.
she was just like, oh, I never thought of that. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you just can't see it yourself. So it's good to have
Yes. Yeah.
other people. So did y'all, my question is, kind of coming back full circle to it, did you guys have anybody that kind of did that way with you that kind of got you on the path that you're on now? Is there like anybody in particular that you would point out as like a mentor or who inspired you to kind of start doing what you're doing as far as your like, you know, your side hustles, not necessarily your, you know, your day jobs, but the things that you guys do on the side with Taco Gear and So Bonita?
Do you want to take that?
I
one?
think for me, Jennifer, like honestly, Crafty Chica and you have been pivotal in creating So Bonita. Like for real. And as a matter of fact, I remember I reached out to Kathy. This is before I even met her about what was the best sewing machine. And she responded to me and said, oh, just a basic Walmart one, just something that to start off with. And because it was something that was so intimidating, I didn't know how to manipulate that kind of machine. And anyway, and you as well with all the color, because I feel like I live a very colorful life, and I've said this numerous times. And so when I see other people just immersing themselves in color, it means to me that they not only appreciate what they see, but there's a vibrancy in their lives and what they create and what they do with their craft that I just thrive off of. And so, and then I got to meet both of you, which was like, oh my God, like the universe aligned all these stars. And so, um, really, that's what really started, would really push for me to create So Bonita. And so that I felt okay. I felt very good knowing that, okay, I can like color too, and incorporate culture as well, my Mexican American culture as well, and then make it into a business. And so that for me was really pivotal for starting So Bonita.
Oh, well, that's,
Mm.
I didn't pay you to say that or anything. God, you know,
That's
I'm
fine.
gonna get misty in my closet right now. You know, I think one of the reasons that, like, I loved you so much the minute I met you is, like, I'm old friends with Kathy, and you, like, reminded me of her. You used to have that,
Oh, I'm gonna start crying.
well, you do, because you have that very, like, outgoing, ebullient, bubbly, just like radiate like sweetness and kindness and happiness. Like both of you guys, like I feel like you're always like, nobody's ever gonna let you, like let them
Yeah.
get you down. And like, I mean, I've known Kathy like God 15 plus years, and like I don't think I've ever heard her say an ill will, like a bad word about anyone. And you reminded me of that. And like, when we
Oh,
met, it's like she's just one of those like super nice to the core people. I can just tell.
yeah. And one of our blogger friends here, a local blogger, she met Kathy, or I think she's hung out with her before, and she said she's like a Care Bear. Kathy's like a Care Bear. So like her chest opens up of like rainbows.
Really does. Like, I always joke with her that, like, my husband is, like, the biggest curmudgeon I know. Like, I love him, but, like, anybody that knows my husband, like, we call him Angry Spice.
No.
And, like, he even loved Kathy the first time he met her. He was like, "She is, like, so sweet and
Yeah.
nice." And, like, I was like, "I know, right?" Like, that makes perfect sense with the Kathy thing. Gerald, did you have anybody kinda like that took you by the hand and was like, "You need to make this into a pin. You need to make this into a patch."
As Lena was giving her answer, I was thinking, like, did I? Because I mean, not to be selfish, but I don't think I did. There were a lot of people that I looked up to and I was following, I think that motivated me. But I
Mhm.
think because, just because of the way my brand started, which was kind of like an accident, just being in the design world in general and wanting to make a shirt for me that I couldn't find and making one, and then that's how the whole brand started. I wouldn't say I really had anybody that, there's one guy that I would read because it's early on, like when you want to ask for
Mhm.
help, it's really hard,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I don't think it's not difficult to do it. It's difficult to get the courage to ask another
Right.
brand for advice or tips because you don't know if they're going to be jerks about it or anything. And in this case, there's a brand that I followed called Wise Mind Clothing,
Mhm.
and I don't remember how I found him on Instagram, but he was really nice in answering just tips or questions about like t-shirt printing and just all the little questions that I had about that. He was super nice and responded really quickly, and you could just tell like he wasn't bothered by my questions. And that was really early on, like in the first year. So I would say he was probably the one that had a pretty good hand in me getting the courage to start and do what I wanted to do. And then after that, just I'm constantly inspired by so many different brands that are doing a lot of things, like small indie brands
Mhm.
that we both look up to.
Well, and I think it's also important that um, because we get asked to this day how to start a business, whether it's a t-shirt brand or how to start sewing or what's the best machine, because that's been asked to me too. And I think it's important that we're there for those people because somebody was there for me and somebody
Mhm.
was there for Gerald. And so you give back to the universe what was given to you. And I feel like it's a responsibility. So when people ask us individually or together, like, how do we start or how do we do this? I feel like we have an obligation to answer and to help because it's just the right thing to do, you
Yeah,
know?
it's like the do unto others as you'd have done unto you. I feel that way too. Like, I'm not gonna hold my cards close to my chest about my business
Right.
or how I got to where I am because so many people, like you guys were saying, have been really open and helpful with me. You know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
don't wanna be that way. You get what you give. So it's like
Mhm.
if I'm open and put it out in the universe, then I meet people like you when I'm on vacation with my family who, tell me all this stuff about podcasting and
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
I didn't used to be that way though. I think when you first like in for me the first handful of months when I found like the drop shipper that prints for me that prints shirts, like I found them and I'm like, ooh, I found them. I'm not gonna tell anybody
Big
about them.
secret.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big secret. But then I'm like, why? What the hell?
Yeah.
Why? Like it's not. It's just. I mean, if you hold out that information for someone who wants to start their own thing, like what are you really accomplishing? You're just like
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
just pooping on them basically, and you're telling them like, no, you're not gonna like, figure it out for
exactly.
yourself. Go through all the struggles I went through.
Yeah.
And
It's
you said a variation on this earlier, Gerald, which is like I've heard it said a million different ways. It's like your candle doesn't burn any brighter by blowing somebody
Mhm.
else's out. You know what I mean? There's like
Mhm.
enough and there's like a famous Maya Angelou quote that's escaping me that's kind of the same thing. Like there's enough of the creativity
Yeah.
and stuff for everybody.
Elena
So,
has a sunshine one.
Yeah, and I had asked a girl in Houston and a guy in California for some help about just starting this, incorporating some Mexican textiles and stuff, and I told them that I was very apprehensive about asking them, and they said, "No, there is enough sunshine for everybody, and if you grow, I grow, and I want us to grow together." And so, and I felt like, oh, I didn't even know people were that nice. Because it could have been like, no, and
oh,
find your own way. And there are people like that, you know?
no,
But
there are, and I've known people like that too, but, honestly, in the long run, like, those are all people that either aren't still, like, in the game or,
mhm,
aren't where they wanted to be, and I don't know if that's, like, karma or what the deal is, but I just feel
yeah.
like
Yeah.
people
Another
that give
thing that's kind of like not on the same. Well, I think Gary Vaynerchuk says this or has said it, but yes, we all build each other up. But when it comes to like I guess competition, y- there's that whole like we never want to break anyone down. And I think he said something like he's not trying. He doesn't want to. It has to do with buildings. I hate quoting quotes because I do such a bad job at it. But instead of trying to tear down other buildings, he's focusing on building the tallest one,
Mhm,
Mhm.
something
yeah,
like that. Which I think is really important because it makes you look at everyone as not necessarily competition. If anything, like these are your peers, these are your friends, these are your creative friends, and you guys are doing something great together, and you should build each other up and support each other. And you can still try and be the best, but
yeah,
it doesn't mean you have to tear anyone down or
right.
discourage anyone either.
Mhm.
Exactly, yeah, my Christmas tree can have the most glitter without destroying anything.
And I think it does.
Without a doubt.
If you looked inside my dustpan of my broom right now, you would know that I
Do you have a
really
Roomba?
God, no, I wish I did,
I feel
like,
like if you had a Roomba, they would just quit.
I don't think a Roomba is ready for this jelly.
Like, no, I did not know there was going to be this much glitter, lady. I am out of here.
I know, and then second of all, like, I have, like, ADD, like, seriously, and, like, I read all these reviews that they're kinda noisy, and, like, I think it would just, like, make me twitch. Like, my son collects those, like, sun nodders, that nod in the sun. You can't see me, but I'm sitting in my closet nodding my head up and down, but they click. They're like, is a nod, and I have to, like, shut the door to his room and, like, put a pillow because, like, during the day, I'm trying to work, and I can just hear that.
They are loud. They are noisy.
Yeah,
We
that's what
yeah.
I've heard. I just okay, we're digressing into my neuroses,
Okay.
but, who doesn't wanna hear about my problems? Well, you guys when we were talking about supporting each other, one of the things I noticed about you that reminded me of, like, I used to be in this girl gang called the Austin Craft Mafia, but,
Ooh.
like, one of the things that we always did is, like, we kinda had this, like, unspoken pact that if one of us got press that we would mention the Austin Craft Mafia, so people would go and check out that website and which listed all of us. There was like 10 of us, right? Or if we took out an ad, we always had like the Austin Craft Mafia URL in there as well. And I noticed like that you two do that. Like everything is super intertwined with you. Like if you go to like the Taco Gear Instagram page, it's also going to mention So Bonita and, obviously So Taco. Like, and then, Elena, you have the same thing on your page. Is that just something you guys, like, decided, like, "Hey, we should support each other in all our things," or did that just kinda happen organically? I mean, your products kinda commingle as well.
That's funny that you mentioned that because I think we just did that like
Like 3 weeks
3 weeks ago. Because I was like,
Oh, really? And I'm like, "Look at this beautiful love story they've been doing."
well, yeah, because yeah, we literally did it about 3 weeks ago, and I think it was because like Elena's growing crazy traction on her Instagram,
Mhm.
and then I was like, how do I piggyback off that?
ago.
But and then mine, I mean, I grow as well. But the funny thing is about just brands in general is you gain followers, you lose followers, and whatever. It just happens. But I was like, man, she is like getting some serious momentum. And Elena was like, I don't know how I'm getting these followers. And I'm like, I don't know how you are either. But then I was like, let me set up my first. It was like, okay, let me on Taco Gear. Let me say that I am the co-host of So Taco, and then the Taco Chair, whatever, all those things.
Mhm.
I was like, let me put husband to So Bonita. bonita, and then she could put wife to taco gear. Anyway, I copied it for her, and I was like, hey, can you put this in your profile? And she was like, can you just do it? It's like, oh yeah, I can do
I
it.
was like, I'm in a meeting. I can't do that right now.
And I did it, but I don't know why it was never done before.
Yeah.
Like it's the simplest thing. It's like the things we hear about all the time, especially from like Gary Vaynerchuk, which we used to listen to a lot. Like everything you're doing, I mean, you should put it like in your email signature. Like our email signature has, or our podcast link on it. Any like our YouTube page on it, it's got those links. And why wouldn't you like promote those things every spot that you can, basically?
Commingle it.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was really sweet. I noticed it. I was like, look at that little power couple. They're like the Jay-Z and Beyonce of people.
Well, let's re-say that whole thing. Yeah, I did it, Jennifer, because I wanted to show how much I love my wife. You can just put that in the podcast.
They like mix. Like it was just, I thought it was nice. But it reminded me, like, I know you're married and there's that part, but I just thought it was like a cool way to.
Yeah, why didn't we do it sooner?
I don't know.
It makes total sense. Like,
yeah.
there's total crossover, like,
right.
I feel like your stuff, like, I know you sell women's clothes, but I feel like Taco Gear is more like dude stuff. And then, Elena, you've obviously got like both too, but like more towards the
right.
So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like a his and hers gift set.
Yeah, I think now we'll go ahead and put like guest on Creative Kisso podcast.
Yeah. More @ symbol on there. Just go ahead and pop that one in there. So another thing I want to talk to you about is, speaking of being a power couple of Corpus Christi. I wanted, because I was listening to your podcast today, like getting celebrity spotted at like Bath and Body Works and stuff. Then it always happen when you're like, hey, I haven't showered in like 3 days, or Elena, I heard you saying
yeah, that's the story of my life.
It's always that way. I'm just like, why? Like the random times that somebody recognizes me, can't I like look amazing? I have to be like just looking awful. And I get spotted at the thrift store a lot. And I'm just like, really? Gosh, I really look bad if I'm like hanging out at the thrift store. Anyway, so I wanted to ask you guys about like your love for Corpus Christi, because I love Corpus Christi. Y'all know my husband's from Corpus Christi. My father-in-law is still there. My mother-in-law is down there a lot. And I used to go like every summer as a kid out to North Padre. So Corpus Christi has a special spot in my heart. But Elena, you're not even from Corpus. I want to know like why the hardcore Corpus Christi love.
Well, I moved over here in 2001 to finish school, and then graduate school, I just stayed here because I come from a small border town, and so I knew I didn't want to be anywhere too big, like San Antonio or Austin. And I freak out like driving in Austin, like I can't. As a matter of fact, I won't drive in Austin. I'm just really used to a small town living, and I just felt like this was kind of a home to me. And then there's a lot of momentum in Corpus. There's a lot of young people, even our age or younger, that are trying to do really cool things as far as growing the community. And it just happens to be like we're in the right time of it. And I feel like we're a part of that growth. And so I love being a part of it, like just witnessing and seeing like all the really cool stuff that's happening and all the growth that's happening within small businesses and the shop local push. And it's been a really good city to me. And I never once I graduated, like I think a lot of my college classmates just left, and I never wanted to. I felt like this would be a great city to just plant my roots. And at 27, I bought my house. I was single, and then I met my husband years later, and I was just like, this is great. I think I'm here. So, and I have my in-laws are wonderful, and and I love having a home where family and friends can come over now, and because we recently bought this house, and so because they all come for the beach, like most people do for vacation, and so
that's how I found. That's how I found CC.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's like it's a beautiful city. I feel like it's an underrated city in Texas, and like now that I know you guys really are like, and I don't know if it's because I've been like hyper focused on you since I met you and getting ready for the podcast, but like Gerald, watching like the taco chair, the video series, like all this stuff. Like I was just telling my husband today, I was like, I need to tell your mom and like her friends, like all about like that girl that does the pottery and about all
Oh
these
yeah.
these
Yeah.
cute little pop up shops and all these things, because that's like totally their speed and things that like I think in their minds they're not on the pulse of things to know those things are happening there. So I
Right.
want to tell them like, dude, you've got this really cool like uprising of all these like indie DIY handmade,
Hmm.
Yeah,
awesome things happening in Corpus. Like you need to go like take advantage of it.
right. And I mean, I'm from here. I was born and raised here, so I think that for me, it was kind of like I mean, I've seen the city and how it's progressed and the things that it's done and where it's, I mean, compared to when I was younger and just all the great things about it. So I love the city. I love my city and I love everything in it and the creative people that I know live here and are from here and do amazing things here. But one of the things that fuels me too is all the people that talk crap about it
Hmm.
that live here.
Yeah.
But I think like that happens in every city. I think
Oh, it does.
yeah, even Vegas people are probably like, this city's boring. Like, it's
Well, but
horrible.
and everybody's like, this city's so sold out, like it's so California. I mean, everybody
Yeah.
bitches about their city.
Right. And for us, we get the same, like, because we've seen it in one of the worst things to do is to go into your like in Facebook to go in the feed of your local news station
Oh Lord,
posting
yeah.
and like read all those bad comments. But just so many times you hear like all there is to do in Corpus Christi is eat and go to the movies, and that is so not the case. So the people that say it's boring, in my opinion, those are just kind of boring people.
Oh yeah,
They're-
like even like cute little arty coffee shop we went to. Like
I
y'all
know. Isn't it
Right.
cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
frou magical like spun cotton candy, like artsy fartsy drinks. We're out here in the suburbs in Austin. I'm just like, what's this newfangled coffee you're getting? Like,
Yeah. And I think also for me, I wanted to be in a place where nobody knew me because
yeah.
everybody from Eagle Pass was like either going to San Antonio or Austin or maybe even Houston. I wanted to be somewhere where I just literally got a fresh start.
Mhm.
And um and so I felt like my adult life just really, really, really grew here in Corpus. And then of course meeting fellow creatives like Alex who does a pottery or
Mhm.
Myra who's the muralist and them becoming our friends and then we're also like a creative tribe where we're like pushing each other, attending each other's things and inviting each other to participate in stuff. And so
Yeah,
it's really,
it's
really
kinda like
cool.
your own little, like, Austin Craft Mafia. I know you're super involved in, the pop-up shops,
Yeah.
and I was gonna ask Gerald, do you ever like, I've seen pictures of Elena at the pop-up shops with your stuff, like, your hand-sewn stuff. Do you ever sell, uh, T-shirts there or any of your stuff?
No. I just recently, like pins, buttons, stickers, those things that I actually keep inventory of.
Uh-huh.
I have been selling it her last two that she's had. But everything else no, because I all my stuff is drop shipped, like print, like t-shirts and hats and everything.
I
Which,
figured it was, but I didn't know it was like, I mean, they're sharing Instagram space, like,
that's funny.
groups next to each other, like, that could be the next move.
Could be.
That's funny.
It could be.
Could be. Well, put it on the radar and say that I told you so.
We will give you credit.
Y'all should pat yourselves on the back because, like I said, I've been going to Corpus for a long time, and I feel like when I listen to the podcast, I'm just like, "Ugh, look at Corpus, just getting so like artsy." I mean, because I remember
It
like,
is.
in the '80s. I mean, it always. I mean, I remember my parents going, and I've got
Mhm.
pottery in the house now that my parents bought from like some guy in Corpus. That like every year we'd have to get some big, weird hippie artsy pottery thing because that's what was in back then with like macrame stuff all over it. So it's
Yeah.
like it's always been there, but it's awesome that you guys are helping
It's,
bring it back up.
yeah,
Take
I
that
mean, there's a Harry Potter coffee shop just opened up like a month ago.
Mhm. And it's been like featured in CNN, all these Texas news channels.
And if you were to like, I don't know when the first Harry Potter came out, like a long time ago. But if you were to say
Yeah.
like, hey, someone should open up a Harry Potter themed coffee shop, people would be like, that's the dumbest thing ever. That will never work in Corpus. and now it's like
It's all
a
over
thing,
town.
and people are loving it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like, you just didn't know there were so many Harry Potter people here, like
Basically.
exactly, they love it. So, Gerald, tell me a little bit about going back to the taco chair and bringing the awesomeness that is Corpus Christi to the forefront. Like, how did you what inspired you to get started on that? I mean, you already had like Taco Gear, and then I'm assuming So Taco came before Taco Chair, the video series. Like, how did that
No, actually, it came after.
Oh, it did?
It happened. The entire thing was kind of an experiment that was guided through just inspiration. Originally, I wanted to blog more. Like, I wanted
Mhm.
to have a blog, but I didn't know what to blog about. So I said, okay, maybe I can do this. After a bunch of ideas, I settled on, all right, let me get this chair and let me just call it the taco chair and let me put different people in it locally, take a photo of them. Then the blog would be about like that person, what they do, and then we'll ask them like what their favorite taco is. And that was it.
Mhm.
And the first couple of people that I had asked kind of gave me the runaround. So it really didn't happen. And then life just happened. And then I just didn't do it. But then I went to help some friends of ours, the Tacos of Texas, out of
Mhm.
Austin, and I went to help them on their docu-series that they were doing, and I got inspired by like, I have a camera, I know a little bit about it. Let me just what if the taco chair just turned into like a video series? And I just did the exact same thing, but I did it with video. Like I talked about the person and who they are, what they do, what kind of creativity they're doing, and then let's talk about tacos and their favorite taco, and that's kind of how the whole thing started. And I really got lucky with the first one. The very first episode of the taco chair, it just worked out that I had a bunch of footage from her name is Myra Zamora. She's a local muralist artist here. I had a bunch of footage from her already, and I asked her, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. Are you interested?" And she said yes. And then we did the first episode, and then I was like, "Okay, who else can I do?" And I was just like going like one at a time, and they were staggered, and towards the end they got more organized. But it ended up just being like, let me feature different people in this city that I love, that I think are doing really cool things, and let's talk about tacos and let's talk about them. And that's kind of how the whole thing kind of worked out.
I love it, and I loved, like, watching it. Like, I was, like, going through, like, this thing in my mind, I was like, "I think we were all separated at birth," because
Yeah, probably.
well, it's
That's
not
funny.
me because, like, y'all's tagline is 2 side hustles and a microphone, and mine is, like, creative queso with the side of hustle, and then, like, Gerald, I saw that you got started, like, with Taco Gear because you couldn't find a shirt you wanted, and I got started with Naughty Secretary Club because I couldn't find jewelry I wanted, and so I was like and then we all have tattoos of, like, the things we're passionate about. I was
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
maybe we were separated at birth. But then I got to the taco chair thing and I was like, I think we were talking about it when I met you in person in Corpus. I was saying, like, I want to do the like creative queso, like interview series in person where we eat queso and we talk about like our creative businesses, Like I was just like, see?
Yeah. That's awesome. I would watch that.
I
It
love queso.
It was kismet, and then I was just like, "How am I gonna talk to people and we don't have our mouths full?" And then I was, like, watching your videos, and I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe that's gonna be the next thing you're gonna have to life coach me on when I get ready to do the video portion."
You know what I figured out too? Like, I mean, I filmed the first person I filmed eating their taco, and I was like, what do I do? I just in my head, I'm like, do I just let them eat? And she was like, what do I do? And I was like, just eat, just eat your taco. And she ate it, and you try and be all proper. From making the video, I was like, well, I want to be tasteful with them eating, and I'm like, you know what? People eat, man. Like everybody
Yeah.
eats.
People
So
and people talk, and, like, for me, like, I called it creative queso because, being in Austin, like, a lot of the business conversations I've had have been with people over a bowl of queso.
Right.
We're sitting there talking about our business, we're eating queso, we're maybe putting our hand in front of our mouth so that you can't see the queso getting, chewed up and swallowed, like, but still, you're eating and you're talking, and that's how tacos and queso just mean
pretty
love
much.
and business for us. So, well, okay. Well, then that's that. And then, Elaine, I was going to ask you about Gerald told me that you had some fabulous skirt action coming this year, but then I thought it was interesting. I was listening to the podcast you did with Kathy Conamario, and y'all were saying that you're relatively new to sewing, and I was like, man, she's already jumping straight to skirts. Like, skirts sound hard.
Yeah, and it was Vanessa that helped me from Stitch Lab.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, we became friends on Instagram, and then we met a couple times in Austin over lunch, and it was kind of like a blind double date. We met with her and her husband, and I told her because I went to several classes at Stitch Lab. I love Stitch Lab.
Oh, no, sad day.
And because there were no classes like that here in Corpus. And so, we would make it a weekend and spend time with Robert and Kelly and the boys and stuff. And anyway, I met her after Stitch Lab closed, and I said, listen, I get so many compliments on my skirts. I just don't know how to make them for different sizes. And I know because I would wear them at my pop-ups, and everybody was like, where can I get the skirt? And I was like, I don't know how to make that for you. And so like, I know how to make it for myself, but I don't know how to make it for you. Anyway, and so she helped me, and it was a really cool pattern that she developed, and it went from like size extra small to double X, and so I was able to make these skirts for various sizes of women, and they were a hit on Small Business Saturday, and we're hoping to launch some online soon.
So you're going to sell them online, like, to fit?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to have people send you, like, their measurements, or are you going to be like, they come in small, medium, and large?
Yeah, they'll be able to pick whatever size they want, and then because the sizes range from like I said, extra small to double X, and so if you go naturally, like if you go to a store like Old Navy, like what would you pick in that size?
Mhm.
And so, or what would you pick in that store that fits from a bottom? It's an elastic skirt, super simple. So there's some give, and so there's not like a button or a zipper. It's a very easy slip-on skirt, and so whatever comfortable your size you're wearing in, that's in a typical store, then that would probably fit you.
Like it. I do like easy on, easy off, comfy
Yeah,
skirt.
I wanted something really easy and functional, and it's cotton, so it's breathable. Throw it in the wash, iron it, and it's good to go.
I can't wait to see it. I know too you love the colored cute fabric, the fun fabric,
Yeah.
because I carry the little tote bag that you gave me
Oh,
with
you do? Good.
my David Bowie, like, little small bag is in my
Uh-huh.
purse, like, every day.
Oh.
I know. And my keychain that you gave me.
Oh, from Oaxaca?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cute Oaxacan pom-pom embroidered heart thing. It's on my
Mhm.
keychain. So, I
Yes.
swear I'm not stalking you guys. I'm like, we're separated at birth, and I carry you with me everything, and I've
I'm
been
so glad you listened to the podcast with Kathy. That was fun.
I know. She's such a sweetie. Yeah, I was listening to it. Well, I gotta do my research. You guys are my first episode. By, like, by the third time, I'll be like, "Who am I interviewing? What's your name again?" But,
Yeah.
for you guys, I did the deep dive. So you get it. So, okay, so we're gonna wrap up, but I have a couple more hot burning questions.
Okay.
So, like I was saying, speaking of us being separated at birth, and you guys have your thing with tacos, and I have my thing with queso. And my husband's from Corpus Christi, and I go there all the time to visit to see his dad, or not all the time, but relatively. And I don't know if I was telling y'all this when we were there, but we used to go to Elva's. That was like our go-to place, for tacos, and now they're closed. And now
Yeah.
I don't know where to go when I come to Corpus Christi. Like, we're just those like tourist people that were like, I guess we'll go to Snoopy's and then just like eat at home. Like, where should we go? Like, I can't believe you guys don't have like octopus tacos there. Like, Gerald, I heard you talking about that. Like,
Oh yeah, I had them in Dallas from a place called
you have them in
Velvet
Dallas.
Taco.
I'm like, they need like exotic, weird seafood tacos in
Yeah.
Corpus too. So where should I go get tacos? They don't have to be fancy tacos.
So basically, what Corpus is known for is their breakfast tacos.
Oh,
That's like you can
Elva.
find any of them anywhere. And yes, Elva's closed, which has made a lot of people
That's where we
sad.
get breakfast
Our
tacos.
favorite places for breakfast tacos are there's a place called Southside Barbacoa.
Okay.
That's our favorite place for breakfast tacos. We also like a place called Papi Chulos for different breakfast tacos as well. But like street tacos, like asada or pastor, things like that. There's a place that we actually discovered like less than a year ago called Taquitos Mi Tierra, and it's an actual food truck. So you have to track them down where they are. And they usually have like their go-to places that they go to Thursdays, Fridays. So that is our favorite place. You can also go one more place. Tacos El Tri
Mhm.
is another trailer, and that place has, which I just recently discovered because a taco chair guest for season 2 wanted mollejas, which is brain,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know where they had them, and I actually was settling on something else there, and I saw on their menu they had brain. I was like, oh, perfect, and I brought them home, and they were pretty good. So, so yeah.
Ew. I know that's the kind my husband gets, or he'll be like, just to annoy me, he'll like get the lingua, and I'll just be like, and I'll be like, "I'm French kissing the cow. I can feel his taste buds." Like,
You don't want to taste anything that can taste you.
yeah, he always gets to get the bizarre ones like that. Well, okay. Well,
That's funny.
I will tap you guys for those again, or write it down before I come. Actually, my husband's going down there and going fishing next week. I'll have to
Perfect.
give him the list, tell him where to go,
Yeah.
tell him to branch out. So you said you've got more episodes of So Taco coming, but I was also wondering, as my last question, not only what else do you have coming, but do you have any other like side hustle things coming? Like you guys keep popping stuff out, like the video series and the
Yeah,
podcast and then the skirts and the pop-up shops. I was like thinking about Gary Vaynerchuk, and like I was listening to a thing about him like talking about being multidimensional, and you guys seem
Mhm.
to really epitomize that, all kind of within the same genre. But you guys are so multidimensional. I was like, do they have any more side hustles coming? Can one person handle that many side hustles?
What do you
I
Anna?
have a pop-up happening. I just scheduled it yesterday. March 9th, which is International Women's Day is on the 8th. But we're doing this on the 9th, and more than likely it'll be nothing but women vendors. And it just happens to be like that. I mean, I don't ever exclude male vendors, but
Mhm.
it just happens to be like women are the ones that are side hustling or hustling these little
Mhm.
businesses. And so,
But when you say pop-ups, just for the audience, Elena, you're talking about the markets that you set up.
yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And not just me. Yeah.
Right,
It's going to be like
20
26
vendors.
vendors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a vendor thing. Are
Yeah.
you setting it up? The one with, or did you just like, are you participating in it?
No, I set them up.
Oh my gosh, like 26 people? You're like giving me heart
Mhm.
palpitations.
Yeah.
It's real. I mean, it's work, but it's really cool.
She's done it the last 2 Small Business Saturdays, and the last one, and we branded it this time called Loca for Local.
I
And
saw
that's
that.
what
That's such a cute name.
Yeah, so that's what she's she didn't want to wait a whole nother year.
It
So
was such a
yeah.
good turnout, and even like the food trucks that were there sold out of food, and they were like, "We got to do this more often. Like, y'all need to do this more often." We were like, "What? Okay, well, like, okay, I don't know what to do." And so we just picked a date in March, and we have another one in July, and then we'll wait till November for the Small Business Saturday.
And then you franchise it like Renegade Craft Bear, and then you start going.
Yeah. And then whatever comes in between. Actually, tomorrow, Gerald and I are going to that trendy coffee shop around the corner to just plan out the year because we need to.
Yeah.
We're at that point.
Vision board.
Huh?
Go vision board. Get out your little,
Yeah.
Yeah, we need all your windows. Thank you. We brought markers.
go sit up in those cool like staircase chairs that we didn't get to sit in.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know.
I've got some stuff too that I'm working on that I think if I put it out on this podcast, I'll finally do it. But outside of Taco Gear and season 2 of the Taco Chair is coming, the whole first quarter of this year is filming. And actually 6 of the 8 episodes will be out of town.
Oh, spicy.
Yeah, so only two will be here in Corpus, and the rest will be in different cities. And the interesting thing about season 2 is season 1 was like 7 episodes, and they were all women except for 2 guys. And it just turned out that way. And then season 2 is actually all men except for 2 women.
Oh, flipping.
And that kind of just worked out too. So that's coming. But then I'm also I've always wanted to. This is probably another time for a whole nother podcast. But I used to be a magician many years ago.
Well, who knew?
And I used to collect custom playing cards. People would actually, like the United States Playing Card Company, the bicycle decks that everyone buys when they buy deck cards. Different magic companies or different companies online or different creatives would design their own deck, and the United States Playing Card Company prints them for you. But they do them in quantities of like 2,500. So I collected all kinds of decks from all kinds of places, and I've always wanted to design my own, and I did. but I've always wanted to do it and put it on Kickstarter, which is where I support a lot of decks that I back.
Mm-hmm.
So this year I will be doing my first taco deck on Kickstarter, and hopefully it gets funded. And we'll see what happens.
I love it. That sounds super fun. Now I want to like learn how to play like bridge and all kinds of like. Well, let's like bring it back, like
There you go.
all the old like card games. I used to love to play those.
Yeah.
Man, now that is like a random side hustle. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like you guys like make my head spin. Like 2 side hustles and a microphone is pretty much going to need to change soon for like 14 side hustles.
That's funny.
You guys make my head spin. Well, thank you both so much for taking time out of your evening to chat with me.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
inviting.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm so excited to listen to the new season and watch the new shows and
Thank
you know nag you about all my hot burning questions for the rest of my podcast and my video series. You guys, like I said, you're my little mentors. You're my little Corpus Christi power couple business. You didn't even know it.
Well, that's awesome. We appreciate that.
Hooray. Well, I'm sure everybody will go check you guys out, and you can find out more about everybody in my show notes. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, I told you they were amazing. Be sure to go check out So Bonita, Taco Gear, the So Taco podcast, and the Taco Chair video series. Like, just stalk these people on all their social channels. Trust me, you will be a better, more enlightened, creative business person for it. Y'all, as always, thank you so much for listening to the Creative Queso podcast with me, Jennifer Perkins. You can always find me at creativequeso.com or jenniferperkins.com. Stop by and say hello, leave me a comment, or find me on any of your favorite social platforms. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it and also leave me a review on iTunes. Reviews really make a big difference in the life of a podcast. Plus, you know, it makes me feel all warm and squishy inside. Also, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, Stitcher, iTunes, and beyond, so you never miss an episode. I want to say thank you so much to my producer, Mariah Gossett, for all your skills. Shout out to Chris Beck for the Creative Queso theme song. And thank you to you for hanging out with me today. Remember, a creative life and business is always better with a bowl of queso and a friend.